Definitely.
With the benefit of hindsight, do you think that it was better for us? It was better that we played poorly against Ethiopia, because if we had played as poorly as we played against Ethiopia in this game and lost or drew, it would have been more disastrous.
Definitely. Because not to say that we are supposed to play bad, but you can't compare how we played against Ethiopia and South Africa today, because that Ethiopian game, even the results still did not change anything.
Yeah.
It was more, the most important thing was what we had to do. But also, you can't also say that we had the chance of winning and we managed to get a draw, and it's good. Because we gave the opportunity back to South Africa when we drew with Ethiopia. Because assuming South Africa managed to beat Ethiopia 4-3 or managed to beat them 5-6 at home, would have been, no matter how many goals we would try to score today, or no matter how good we try to play today, it would have been a challenge. So I would not say that we playing bad or we playing poorly in South Africa against Ethiopia was a good one. But once we are able to put that behind us and replicate a great performance today, we would always give the guys credit. But I would say that the South Africa had an opportunity to make it difficult for us, and they blew it away. And it's one thing that the Stars should never do that mistake again, because a win would have been an easier one for us. But we took the difficult approach by picking a draw against Ethiopia. And if you watch that game and how we played, we were not extremely good. And I think off air, I was telling you that even from the qualifiers to the African Cup of Nations and even this World Cup, we've not been great. We can't kid ourselves. We've not played the best of football. So it was just one of our bad performances that we showed against Ethiopia in South Africa. But for today,
one of our many bad performances.
That's one of our many bad performances.
We were very bad in South Africa when they defeated us. We struggled.
We struggled. Even when we beat Ethiopia in Cape Coast, we were not great. And that's why we have to.
That's when CK said all that matters
is the 3 points. Because, and that's when you only say that when you know that you can't give good performance and you can only grind the results. So we would say that we've not been vintage, we've not had great performance, and we can't kid ourselves. We've just been grinding the results, and sometimes you need character. And that is why I had strong belief that Ghana would definitely beat South Africa, because when it comes to crunch moment, when it comes to grinding the results, when it comes to doing the most important things, we've proven that we have that ability. Let's not forget that South Africa did not even qualify for the African Cup of Nations. Like, they are a country that can play to the gallery, but when it matters most, they fail to deliver. So when it comes to character-wise, Ghana had a better opportunity, and we fought for it. For someone who had the opportunity to work closer with players and work closer with football clubs and work closer with players when it comes to preparing for games, important games like this, I would give extreme credit to the players, because in matches like this, it does not take only 11 on the pitch. You need extreme mental toughness and extreme mental preparation to be ready for the game. And these are games that if you are not careful, you might just get injured anyhow, that you might not even get prepared for. So for me, I don't want to talk about the next playoff, because it's extremely away from us.
It's much.
So
we have about 5 months or so.
Exactly. All that I would do is just take a deep breath and rather congratulate the boys and perhaps talk about our process to this stage. For me, I would say we've not been great, and we should not sit anywhere and say that this is the Stars that can give us extreme performance. We can't. Because if you look at our players, yes, we have potentials. We can't kid us. We can't disagree. We have potential. If you look at Kamar Dean, if you look at Fatau Shaku, if you look at Kudus, Thomas Partey, Idris Baba is even about to play his first major tournament. Tre, we have potential.
The individual players are there. But having them as a mix, as a team.
And that will not come by just 2 or 3 days or 3 or 4 days. So for us, that's what we lacked when Milo came in for them. When Milo was around in his first coming, he had extreme players that were experienced. Because even when he had players that were younger, they were players that were experienced. Because Jonathan Mensah back then, Andrea Ayew back then.
Yeah, just won the
African Cup, the World Cup, under 20 World Cup. So you can't say they were young, yes, but they had that experience. But for now, look at Kudus. Kudus is here to play his major international tournaments for Ghana. Kamadin. So our players that we rely extremely on are even yet to taste the international tournament. So yes, we have quality, we have potential, but we are yet to have a great team, and it showed obviously in how we played. I think if you look at individual players, just as my brother said, I've always not been a fan of Andy Yadom personally, because I am more of players that are more offensive. And if you look at Andy Yadom, he provides little. He has to. I stand to be corrected, but I'm yet to see a great cross from him as a number 2. Even if you want to look at the traditional number 2, we are expecting you to give good crosses, but you are yet to see that from him. And if he's defending too, he's not that player that you can close your eyes and say, this tackle, he's going to win it. He's not my go-to number 2. But I would prefer that Milo, if he has good defense, he should rather play Amati forward as a right wing back, which will be in a more 3-back, so that if worst case scenario, if we don't have a better defender, I think he should have confidence in Ganiu, because Ganiu has composure.
Yeah.
And I think to be a good defensive, to be a good centre back, composure is extremely very important, because the slightest error you commit, you give the opponent a chance to create a chance at your goalkeeper. So for me, worst case scenario, Jiku has a cool head. We have Ganiu, who is extremely intelligent and very calm. You see, in football, if you are calm, you hardly make errors. And that's why I like Baba Rahman. Baba Rahman will not give you a vintage performance, but he hardly make errors because he's calm with the ball. He does not rush around. And that's Wakaso's biggest challenge, because he's not calm with the ball. His ability to make good decisions and the potentiality that he make errors are extremely high, because he's not calm-headed. Once the ball comes to him, he's a lot of things in his mind and he hardly make errors. So for me, if you can't even get Salisu, if you are preparing and you are in the African Cup of Nations, two group stages games with Ganiu in the centre back will give him the confidence and he'll be able to play. All that we need to solve, I think we have to decide whether we would extremely rely on Thomas Partey, because if he's around, he's a great addition. But so far, it looks as if we might get a possible backup for him, because he's one man that might be out of the team. And even if he's fit, he might give you the possibility that he'll give you a good performance is 70%, and sometimes he will fail to come to the party. But if he's playing, he will excel. Baba Idrisu needs a backup, because he's not N'Golo Kante. He's not your midfielder that you can rely on.
As for the backups, I'm sure every department everyone needs a backup, because even the Andre and Jordan,
I think if not, the fact that we are still relying on Andre Ayew to give us goals tells us that we are not providing enough when we are moving forward. Because the last 3 Milo goals has come from
in midfield, Thomas
Partey, and they are all free kicks. I was even talking about such pieces, like we're not well-worked goals that we say this is coming from a training ground goal. And I think we need to start working on that. Maybe we would say that we don't create enough chances as well. But I also don't fault the attackers, because if you have a team that has Kudus, Thomas Partey, Andre Ayew, Kamadin as midfielders, these are players that on any day should be able to give you good goals.
You need your midfielders to add to the goals.
Exactly, to give you good goals. So for me, we will just take a deep breath and celebrate. It's just a tough one, but we shouldn't have been here. We should have topped the group. But hey, once
we ended up topping the group,
yes,
though,
once we are there,
with 13 points, the same as South Africa, based on the fine details, the small details.
Yeah, like a typical example. Okay, not like I think a typical example was the corner that brought us the goal. It was Wakaso who was going to take it. Otuado shouted at him that Che should take it, and that gave us the penalty. So I would always say that football is the little things that matter. And the basic of football is the organization. So if you have a coach who can give you proper organization and you sit back and watch your players and you know that this is, you know clearly what we are doing. That's coaching for me.
Yeah, but so he said winning is all that matters. Before the South Africa game, before the Ethiopia game, Milova Rajbak said the same thing. We don't need just the wins. We need an upgrade on the performance.
No, but not to cut you, not to argue with you. I won't sit here and say that we've been vintage. Like I've said that in my earlier performance, but let's be honest to ourselves. The Black Stars we watched against Ethiopia, when we beat them in Accra, and the Black Stars we watched in South Africa against Ethiopia. Let's be honest. Even though we won, we were not. Even though we played poorly against it, we claim we played poorly against Ethiopia in South Africa. That performance was better than the one we saw in Cape Coast. And I always attribute me if I judge good coaches by my ability to predict what you are doing and see proper structure and organization. You know, when players are not performing well, you see, and when the system is not there, you see. What happened was that in our game against Ethiopia and South Africa, it was the players that were bad in a good system. Kudus was absent in the game. Baba Idrisu surprisingly was extremely poor. You could see that the coach wants them to do A, B, C, D, but they are not doing it. But in our situation, there was a time that we were all even struggling to tell the right formation that the right formation that Ghana wanted to play in the game. We were able to predict that Milo best choice is 3 back. The ability that you have been able to tell that this is what Ghana wants to do is an upgrade.
So by March, if Milo still doesn't have, can't be, the performances cannot be as fluid as Ghanaians wanted, would it be enough time to say that he's not upgraded the team? Because, like you say, we haven't played well, we've grinded out the results, and the argument obviously would be the fact that he came in September and hasn't had enough time as compared to CK, who had almost 20 months in charge of the Black Stars. By March, he would have been in charge from September, October, November, December, January, February, March. More than 6 months. If at that time the performances are still wretched, chaotic, and you get the results,
and the AFCON too.
Say again.
And the AFCON too.
The AFCON, yes.
We played the AFCON before March.
Yes. Yeah.
So we would clearly tell whether
you would have a chance to do pre-camping before the tournament.
The boys, and we would clearly tell, and that's why I think the FA itself, the fact that Milo's contract ends right after the African Cup, I think the World Cup is
1 year, yeah,
clearly tells you that the FA itself were willing to take a chance, and they were not 100% sure. So, and that is why Milo's job was direct. Qualify us to the World Cup, go and play the African Cup of Nations, and we'll look at you and see if you can do it. If he goes to the African Cup of Nations and a typical Milo, even when Milo had a Samoan, prime a Samoan, everybody, he was playing one top and scoring 1 goal and defending all throughout. He was giving us heart attack like he was doing. So you could clearly tell that the man himself is not a man who will come and play Barcelona or Belgium or Germany and score 9 goals. Like, he's not that. So I would not expect Milo to allow Ghana to dominate 100% possession. Even when he had everybody in his prime, he was still playing one top. Okay. And Asamoah sometimes had to score an individual brilliance goal against USA to qualify. So I'm not expecting Milo to be vintage, but this is Black Stars. Like, we know Ghana when Ghana is playing.
Yeah.
Like
the Brazilians of Africa.
Exactly. So we want that. Like, we want that feeling.
Yeah.
It's not. I always say that it's not every day that you play 100%. Even Barcelona sometimes struggle to get, when Barcelona were in them, not just Barcelona, like the then Barcelona, when they were in their prime, there are some games that they have to grind results. Grinding results isn't bad, but the manner at which you lose and win games is what I am interested in. Right. And for me, if Milo can change that even when we lose a game, we can all sit back and say that, oh, today be like say we play well, but it's just hard luck. Then we can say that there's proper coaching. And so far, we can all look at our team and see that now if Ghana is going to play, see, back then it was Inshallah and Nyame Betre. But now if we are going to play, we know that we can win a game. And it's just the fact that when we were coming to play South Africa, at least everyone had confidence that coming to play South Africa at home, getting a win will not be a difficult one. Tells you that there's an improvement, because there was a time that we were going to play South Africa, Zimbabwe,
I think your point
home and away was right.